So you want to write a song, but you don't know how to start. Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to Popstar Bootcamp. I'm Drew, and today we are going to learn all about how to start writing a song when you have never done it before. So a little bit about me. I started writing songs about a year and a half ago. I haven't published anything and I haven't gotten a song fully finished and produced, but I've written, I think I have about 200 voice memos. I've got hundreds of notes, lots of different things this is beginner, this is just getting started. Later on, as I learn how to produce and I learn how to grow from here, I will share those tips and tricks as well. But for now, I just want to help you be able to get to where I'm at, where I finally feel like I'm writing good music and I'm really proud of the things that I'm writing. I also have a very large amount of content, both in my notes app, in my song journal, and in my voice memos, that once I finally do have the skills to be able to start producing music or come to someone who has the skills to start producing music, I already have a good base to start on. So I started off by just having a designated song journal. I love journaling, I've got journals everywhere, and so I picked one out specifically and made it my special song journal. All that I wrote in there were songs, ideas, whatever. So in that journal, that's where I usually will write a full song. If I have an idea, I sit down with it and I try and expand it into a full song. It doesn't always work because sometimes you need the music with it, but sometimes it's just good practice to sit down and go, here's a verse, here's a chorus, here's the pre-chorus. So it kind of helps to develop that structure. Now, the structure can be kind of hard, and that's why I walked away from that, because I wasn't really ready for actual musical structure yet. So instead, I moved over to my notes app and my voice memos. I felt like the notes app was less, I don't want to say impactful, but it's easier. You can erase, you can delete, you can undo, and the journal just felt very permanent for being such a beginner. So having the notes app, I felt like I could make some more mistakes that I don't feel like I can make. I felt like I had to be perfect in the journal, especially since it's a nice journal. It's a journal, it's an older one that one of my friends had gotten me when I was in high school or something. So I've been holding on to it for a while. So I think that sentimentality also made it to where I had to be writing good stuff in that journal. I did write some good stuff in that journal. Some of my early song structure songs I think are pretty good, and I still think about and am trying to find places for them in my album and want to work on them more. So just because it was hard doesn't mean that it didn't help. So then the next place to move on to, obviously I said it earlier, voice memos. So that's super easy once you start getting a melody. I use the notes app and the journal for something where I have a concept that I want to expand on. Whereas if I have a melody that I want to work on, that's when I go to my voice memos. So usually the melody comes to me, it'll usually be a line that, I'm just trying to come up with something. Oh, I'm eating an apple today. There we go. That'll be what comes into my head. So then I immediately go over to my voice memo. I go, I'm eating an apple today. Wouldn't have it any other way. 'Cause here I am not going to the doctor because I'm eating an apple today. Something like that. And sometimes it's just a line and I'm moving really fast and I don't have time to expand on it. I'm like, I just need to remember this line. I just need to keep it. Sometimes I can go I've got 7-10 minute long voice memos. And I've also got 7 seconds, There's so much in between. And that's what's really nice about notes and voice memos is there's no limit to it. And also at the same time, if you make something that's bad, that you don't really appreciate, that you don't really like, you kind of can walk away from it. And all my voice memos are numbered unless there was one that I was like, this has to be this song. I've been thinking about this song title and it matches, or sometimes they have a song title. Most of the time they don't, and that's how I know how many I have, because they're all just numbered. And so it then takes all of your stuff that is bad, mediocre, good, great, whatever. Now, my best stuff, I think that's the stuff that usually gets a name, but also not necessarily. So some of my best stuff is just blended in with all the other numbers. And also my bad stuff is in there too, because when I make it, sometimes I walk away from something and I'm like, I hated that. That was absolutely terrible. I don't ever want to do that again. Like, I'm not going to expand on that. I don't even know why I made it a voice memo. But I haven't gone back through yet. But I know for my TikTok videos, sometimes I make a video and I'm like, that was the worst thing I've ever made. And then I watch it again and there's nothing wrong with it. Sometimes I make a video and I was like, that's the best thing I've ever made. And I come back to it and I hate it later. So this way, it kind of takes all of that initial feeling. I have no idea how I felt about any of this music. All I know is what it is. I couldn't tell you if I thought it was good, if I thought it was bad. And also, I don't necessarily know what's good and bad, right? Because okay, let's go back to my Apple song. It could be bad, but also it could be a opening point to something else. So by removing the judgment from what it is that's being done, it just opens the door to new possibilities later down the line. And then you just build up this repertoire of things that are from different parts of your life, so you can always kind of go back and see, okay, I kind of want to write about 2018, and well, maybe we're not going to go back that far. I want to write about 2026, and it's now 2028. So I could go back to my 2026, and I can see how I was feeling in 2026, and I can choose something and kind of work from there. So I think it's really nice to be able to leave some things for my future self to work with, because I have no idea what she's gonna like. I know what I like and how I feel about things, but I also know I judge myself a lot more than I'm going to judge myself when I'm doing this more frequently. My ear and my taste is going to be a lot better 10 years down the line than it is right now, just because I'm going to have more knowledge. So something that I think is terrible, and also trends change and music changes and opportunities, everything's always changing. So you never know what might be. I don't even want to say like keep it because it's got to be trendy, but also at the same time, you might be ahead of the trend and be like, oh, that it's kind of fun when things link up like that. Anyways, so the next question I wanted to answer is, how do you even come up with this? How does the idea for anything even pop up into your head? Because sitting in front of an empty notes app, an empty voice memo, or an empty notebook is really intimidating. I should know that's exactly how I started, was just sitting in front of an empty notebook, being intimidated, and doing it. And granted, I wrote a few songs. I found some songs from when I was younger. When I say a few, I mean like 3, not even structured songs, just kind of poems. I do a lot of stuff in poem structure as well. I don't try and give it structure. I kind of, because that's something that's really frustrating to me, is trying to make it structured. So a lot of my songs are just like a big run-on melody. Oh, 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 oh. So maybe later on down the line, I'll be able to chop it up. Okay. How do you come up with the ideas? You don't sit in front of it. Don't sit in front of it being intimidated. Walk away. Do something else. My best work is done when I'm doing something else. Go on a walk. Clean up your room. Do the dishes. Do something boring and mundane. And then you start thinking about it in your head. Because if you're sitting in front of an empty something, and granted, if that's what you feel like you need to do, do it. Because like I said, that's how I started. Now I don't do that anymore because to me it was very frustrating. It was intimidating. It was disheartening almost. It was just hard in a way that I don't want to say it was going to burn me out, but it probably would have burnt me out if I had kept going that way, if I kept forcing myself. So I force myself when it comes to recording. If, like I said earlier, if I have a thought that I don't really resonate with, that isn't really resonating with me now, I go ahead and I record it as a voice memo just in case. So that kind of opens me to more things, and it brings the music into my head more. On a day that I'm recording voice memos, sometimes I write 8 to 10 songs in a day just because I'm thinking about it and that's how my mind is moving. And I'm not actively thinking about it. It's usually a day where I'm doing something else. I never plan to write music. It just gets written. The other thing that I like to do is expand off of a feeling, is find something that I want to write about, find something that I have to say. So I currently have 4 different albums planned, and each of them has a different theme that I want to come across in the lyrics of the album alongside the aesthetic. And this is where my extra note app will come in. So I have one separate note page that just has lyrics that don't necessarily, if there's a lyric that I didn't expand on, that I didn't want to expand on, that's where it goes. And there's a concept that I want to write about, that's where it goes. And if there's a song title that comes into my head that I like, that's where it goes. So there's a bunch of different pieces that aren't necessarily a melody or a song, but it's something that I can go back to and look at to work on. If I start to get a strong feeling that I think would make a good song, I actually have gotten to a place where I start going to my voice app or my notes app. It's usually my voice memos, and I just start singing about what I'm feeling in that moment. Once again, no structure, no need to be good, no need to be perfect. I honestly think a lot of my songs right now are reminiscent of other songs, just because, you know, when you're kind of in that beginning phase, like, you know what's already there and you're still trying to learn how to make something new. Granted, they all sound very unique and individual, but they also have remnants of the other, and I try not to care about that too much and try not to judge myself, because I know down the line it's not going to sound like that. Things are going to change. It's not just going to be voice memo to album immediately. So having that grace for yourself and taking the time to just like slow down really helps. And that's another place where I try and force myself to write, is when I'm feeling some type of way that my first thought is, wow, this would be a great song. Okay, you're feeling it. Okay, we make a good song. Go do something about it right now. How does this feeling translate into a song in this moment right now? My next piece of advice is to start journaling. Journaling just helps you write. And in the same sense, you could even just journal about things that you want to write a song about and then go from there. I have multiple journals. They're not beside me, but I have journals that I have pages tabbed down. I have 4 different journals that I know currently have song ideas in them. If I were to go through any of my old journals, I know I would be able to find things that I want to write songs about. And now in my newer journal, I start tabbing pages when I write something. I'm like, that is the feeling, that is what I want to write a song about. That's what I want to capture. I'll tab the page so I can come back to it. And it's just another way to see how I was actually feeling, to see what my honest thoughts and opinions were at the time before I kind of have hindsight bias. So it gives me an insight into my past to be able to take that and to work with it later. And finally, the last way that I write music is just by turning off the music in the car, turning on a voice memo, and just singing. Usually, this also starts from me having an idea, and sometimes that comes from me sitting in silence. Sometimes it comes from me blasting my favorite music. And it's just songs that I've heard over and over again, so my brain starts pumping out its own variation of it. Another little tip and trick that's kind of my extra bonus sprinkle in here. Oh, let me go back and then we'll do the bonus sprinkle. So I've had 10, 15, 20 minutes. You can really develop, not necessarily a song, but you can develop a song, you can develop multiple things. You can just kind of, it's fun to play with, to see where if you just sit and create for 20 minutes, just let your mouth talk while your brain is focused on driving, what's gonna come out. Okay, so now our bonus sprinkle, rewrite other people's music. Oh my gosh, it's right there. It's easy. I mean, not easy, but if there's a song, like I have songs that I like, and this is kind of what pushed me into wanting to, it's one of the things that pushed me into really wanting to be a musician, but I had a lot of songs that I really liked, but I didn't. Like, they were close, but they were not there yet. So I find a lot of joy in taking a song and taking a lyric that I don't necessarily like and rewriting it to something that I would put in there. It helps to find your own voice and to kind of differentiate yourself from your favorite artists. I know that's something that I am still kind of struggling with. I'm kind of moving out of that phase at this point, and I'm learning to be inspired and uplifted by my favorite artists instead of immediately going to, well, they're so good, I'm never going to be able to do that, why even try? Ooh. But so yeah, if you just rewrite some lines, if you are producing and you want to be able to produce but don't really know where to start, then I think another great place to start is to take a song and to just kind of try and figure out how to remake it in a production, in a DAW. It just helps to learn structure a little bit. I know I've been preaching no structure, no structure, no structure, no structure. And I do, until obviously at some point you're going to need a little bit of structure. And that's where your favorite music definitely can come into play. Thank you so much for sticking around. I hope that songwriting becomes exponentially easier for you after this. If you want more, I am currently working on my Popstar Bootcamp series where I'm teaching all different things to help go from zero to hero. And if you currently want more than what I'm just offering, I also have a playlist of all the videos that I have used in order to get to this place. I'm so grateful for you for sticking out here with me. I cannot wait to see all of your progress, and thank you so much for joining. Bye! And if you have any extra questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. I love to hear everything that you have to say, and I can't wait to read all your comments.